Is Art on the line? Vice Mayor?
Art?
Okay, you want to try to call him, or
You want to try to get me on?
shall we?
Oh, it's
You're here.
I'll figure out what the problem is.
Yeah, it shouldn't, this meeting should not take very long.
Yes.
I hereby call the special meeting for April 9th, City Council of Buellton to order. If everybody would please stand and repeat after me the Pledge of Allegiance. You can put your phones on mute if you wish, so you can still hear. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
Of the United States of
and to
America.
the republic
and
for
to the
which it
republic
stands,
for
one
which it
nation,
stands,
under God,
one nation,
indivisible, with liberty
God,
and justice for all.
indivisible, indivisible, and justice for all. Liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Linda, roll call, please.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Here.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you. Do we have any reordering of the agenda?
Not for this meeting.
All righty. Do we have any public comments? I see none. Bringing it back to business item number 1, the resolution number 20-11, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, designating the city manager on behalf of the City of Buellton to be the authorized agent to engage with the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Governor's Office of Emergency Services regarding grants applied for by the City of Buellton. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. As the Council is aware, we are in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis, which for us has, for the City of Buellton, takes the form of falling under an emergency declaration by the County of Santa Barbara. As such, we are entitled to request certain funding from the federal government in terms of reimbursement for extraordinary expenses that the city may incur in dealing with this situation. However, in order to do that, there is some paperwork that needs to be filled out, and there's a rather tight deadline on getting this paperwork filed. The paperwork in question right now is a particular Cal OES form, or maybe a couple of Cal OES forms here. Our finance director has compiled those and has prepared them and is ready to send them out pending the City Council's authorization. Filing these forms will allow the city to make requests for reimbursements for not only the item later on the next agenda here dealing with the Senior Center's Meals on Wheels programs, but any additional extraordinary expenses the city may incur in responding to the COVID-19 situation. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. We recommend that the City Council approve this resolution, and I'll conclude my report.
All righty. First of all, are there any questions for the city manager? Councilman King, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Andrusik, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Mercado, any questions?
No, ma'am.
All righty. None from you?
No.
All righty. Then I open it to the public for any comments or questions. Seeing nobody in the public, I'm closing public comment and bringing it back for direction by council. Gentlemen?
I'd like to make
Councilmember King, move that we adopt resolution number 2011 as written.
All righty. Do I hear a second?
I will second the motion. This is Vice Mayor Mercado.
Certainly. Thank you very much. Linda, roll call.
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. All righty. With that, we are going to adjourn for 5 minutes, and we're going to start our regular meeting of City Council at 6 o'clock. Thank you. o'clock. Is everybody ready to go?
We're ready.
All righty, here we go. I hereby call the city council meeting for April 9th, 2020 to order. If everybody would please stand again for the Pledge of Allegiance. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
United States of America, and to the republic
one nation,
stands,
under God,
one nation,
indivisible,
under God,
liberty and justice for
indivisible,
all.
with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Linda, roll call, please.
All right, Councilmember Andrusik.
Here?
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Here.
And Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you very much. Any reordering of the agenda?
No reordering of the agenda this evening.
Okay, any public comments? This is the public's opportunity for their 3 minutes to compliment, praise lavish on the council and the city's job performance. Seeing none, I'll move on to the consent calendar. We have, do you want me to read it and then correct
Sure.
it?
Mhm, that's fine.
We've got the minutes of April 1st, 2020, special city council meeting, the minutes of March 26th, 2020, city council meeting, list of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2019-2020, resolution number 20-09, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, approving a 3% cost of living adjustment, or COLA, for all regular full-time employees effective July 1st, 2020, and acceptance of City of Buellton Transportation Development Act, the TDA Fund, financial statements for years ended June 30th, 2019 and 2018 with independent auditors report. Mr. Wolf, you had a correction on one of them?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council. I would like to request that a change be made to the minutes from the March 26th, 2020 meeting. This concerns item number 11. The motion for that particular item currently states, it ends with the phrase, "with staff continuing to be involved in the Arts and Culture Committee meetings." That language should be changed to read, "with staff overseeing the Arts and Culture Committee meetings."
All righty. Any questions? Any motions?
I'll make a motion to,
Yeah, I move the minutes be changed as stated. This Councilmember King.
Okay. And was that
Andrusik?
a second from Councilmember Andrusik? All righty. If I can get Linda to do a roll call on that?
Do we want to do another motion for the, or a motion for the consent calendar?
For the
as a whole?
consent calendar with the amendments on it,
Oh, okay.
So the whole thing.
the whole
And
thing.
Councilmember King will also make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I think it was
Okay.
as
Second.
amended.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think we have.
easier that
So
way.
Yes.
one motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we
Right.
don't have alternate motions.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
All right.
Councilmember Sanchez.
aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on, we do have a presentation. I'm sorry that Mr. Burns is not here to receive our proclamation recognizing National Donate Life Month, but I am going to read it in the hopes that he is out there listening to this. We appreciate him coming every year. He's been coming for many years now. And this is a really important proclamation. This proclamation is recognizing National Donate Life Month, whereas organ tissue, marrow, and blood donation are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need, and more than 112,000 individuals nationwide and more than 21,000 in California are currently on the National Organ Transplant Waiting List, and on average 17 people die each day while waiting due to the shortage of donated organs. And whereas the need for donated organs is especially urgent in Hispanic and African American communities, and more than 600,000 units of blood per year are required to meet the need in California, and each year there are 18,000 patients in need of volunteer marrow donors. And whereas a single individual's donation of the heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of more than 75 others, and a single blood donation can help 3 people in need. And whereas millions of lives each year are saved and healed by donors of organs, tissues, marrow, and blood, and the spirit of giving and decision to donate are not restricted by age or medical condition, and California residents interested in saving a life through living kidney donation are encouraged to visit www.livingdonationcalifornia.org for more information. And whereas over 16 million Californians have signed up with the state-authorized Donate Life California Donor Registry to ensure their wishes to be organ, eye, and tissue donors are honored, and California residents can sign up with the Donate Life California Donor Registry when applying for or renewing their driver's licenses or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. Now therefore I, Holly Sierra, Mayor of the City of Buellton, hereby recognize National Donate Life Month, the month of April 2020, is hereby proclaimed DMV Donate Life Month in the City of Buellton, and in doing so we encourage all Californians to check yes when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID card, or by signing up at www.donatelifecalifornia.org or www.donevidacalifornia.org. And I'm hoping Mr. Burns is out there listening to this. It's a really important issue, and we are proud to recognize National Donate Life Month. All righty. Public hearings. No public hearings? Council member comments / items. Council member Andrusik, any comments / items?
Not this moment.
All
I
righty.
had one that got away from me.
Councilmember King?
No, ma'am.
All righty. Vice Mayor Mercado?
Just one comment, and just so it gets on record that we just want to, City of Buellton want to let our hospital know that they are doing an outstanding job. The ER division has just been not inundated, but they've been doing a great job working with the coronavirus patients that have come through the hospital, as well as the other departments, which is med-surg, radiology, the radiology technicians. Because once it's stated that you do have coronavirus, that you have to have a chest x-ray, so they're all being exposed, but our little hospital here has done an outstanding job, and so I just wanted to make sure that was noted by the city.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez, any comments / items?
No, I just like to back what Art said. That sounds good.
Okay. And I just wanted to thank our community. You know, this COVID-19 has changed so many lives well, it's changed everybody's life. And then we have community members that are really, really stepping up and trying to make the best of it. We have an Easter egg hunt coming up this Sunday. Tomorrow's the last day to register. Candace Signa on Facebook is taking addresses. We've got over 150 people who have signed up. The Buellton Rec Department, Kyla Bello, has graciously given up some of the Easter eggs, the stuffed eggs, plastic-filled eggs that were going to be at our Eggstravaganza this Saturday. They're going to be hidden in front yards of anybody who wants to have their eggs hidden for kids, and the eggs will be hidden between 7:30 and 8:30 in the morning. So if you're on the list, or if you see strange people creeping around your neighbors' yards between 7:30 and 8:30, it's probably okay for them to be there. There's also going to be the Easter Bunny will be driving around town between 2 and 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon. So if you're in the area, just listen for some music and pop out. And it's just one of the very many things that our residents are doing to keep spirits up for everybody. And truly appreciate it. Truly, truly appreciate it. Okay, moving on. Any written communications?
Madam Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
Councilmember King.
Yes, sir.
I also want to get on public record to recognize all the people, dozens of people in this valley, who my wife Gretchen included, that are going to grocery stores and doing shopping for some of our seniors, a lot of our seniors here in the valley, that don't feel that it's prudent to go out and do their own shopping. And I like to just applaud them during this crisis.
Thank you. I wholeheartedly agree. You know, we've got our first responders, and then we have neighbors and people who don't even know the people that they're helping, including Gretchen. Very much appreciated, and it's one of the reasons why we live in such a special place. Thank you for recognizing that. Do we have any written communications?
No, ma'am.
Committee reports. Any committee reports?
Madam Mayor, this is Vice Mayor Mercado.
Yes.
I had a conversation today with Kathy Buellton on the Visitors Bureau, and they are still open. Her and Jody, are taking alternate days. They are closed on Sunday and trying to field the calls as many as they get. Right now, you know, pretty much everything is shut down. A few of the restaurants are still open. Also, the hotels are still open. The Marriott, the Peace of Anderson's, and Hampton Inns, they all are getting their hotel rooms at a discount rate to businesses and individual people who just need a place to get away and do business. So little things like that, they are still being able to at least get a little income. The county health department did close down private RV and campgrounds, so they had to be closed this week, at least through the 7th of May. But the other user viewer information, the new billboard will be up hopefully by next week, and it's going to say, "Together, Apart, Buellton Cares." So that'll be to the entrance of the valley. They're taking down the sign that states where, you know, Brewfest is on and stuff like that information. So it's just going to be a generic, but just to let everybody know that Buellton's still here and they still care. So little by little, like I said, they're trying to stay busy and work on projects and ramp up for when the virus does end and get Buellton back on the map.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Okay, if we don't have any other committee reports, I'm moving on to our business items. Agenda item number 7 is consideration of emergency funding of the Buellton Senior Center's Meals on Wheels program. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. As I'll point out yet again, the city is currently in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic and the emergency that stems therefrom. As the City Council is also aware, the pandemic has resulted in the closure or severe limitation of any number of businesses here within the city and how they conduct their businesses. Nonprofit organizations are not exempt from this, and they have been hit just as hard as a lot of our businesses have been. One of those in particular, the Buellton Senior Center, provides senior citizen services and programming on its own behalf as well as on behalf of the city, as it is currently funded at least to some degree through the city's budget. But the Buellton Senior Center is a local provider of Meals on Wheels services across much of the Santa Ynez Valley. This Meals on Wheels program provides nutritious food to local residents who are unable to leave their homes and obtain food on their own due to some incapacity. For many of these people, they're primarily senior citizens. The delivery from Meals on Wheels represents the only nutritious meal that they will eat on any given day. Since the health order, social distancing order, the senior center has had to close its primary source of revenue, which is its thrift store. This has resulted in a loss of over $8,000 per month of revenue to the senior center's program. This loss of revenue, combined with the increased demand for the Meals on Wheels services, given the people affected by the COVID crisis, has resulted in extreme stress on the senior center and their ability to provide those services and to maintain those services. The senior center, in response, has requested the city's assistance in the form of a donation or an appropriation of $15,000 toward their funding. Staff would point out that while the city does currently support the senior center for its existing program, the request for $15,000 at this time shouldn't be seen as a request to continue the existing program, but as it should instead be viewed as a request for an emergency expansion to a program which, due to the COVID-19 crisis, has the potential to seriously impact lives within the valley here. In addition to simply providing the basic necessities of food for a lot of these residents, members of the community who find themselves in need of Meals on Wheels because they've been exposed to the coronavirus and contracted the COVID-19 disease would be in much worse shape in their recovery mode if they were unable to have nutritious meals. This could put them into a state of malnutrition, which would require their hospitalization, taking up valuable bed space that would be otherwise used for patients with a much greater need for critical care. Staff has reviewed the request and has found that there is money available in the existing budget that's currently been identified for a Cash for Grass grant program for water conservation. If the City Council is amenable to that, we could remove some of that funding for this year to fulfill the request of the Buellton Senior Center. The resolution that the City Council adopted at the special meeting just before this one would permit the city to then request the federal government through FEMA reimburse the city for this expenditure. While staff will do its best to request that reimbursement, I would always recommend to the City Council that you never take an action based upon the assumption that you're going to see that reimbursement fulfilled, because there's simply no guarantee of that. So with that disclosure, I'll be happy to answer any questions. I will let you know that Pam Nico, the Executive Director of the Senior Center, is on the phone and would like to address the City Council after you have any questions answered.
Perfect. Any questions? Councilmember King, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Councilmember Andrusik, any questions?
No, ma'am.
Vice Mayor Mercado, any questions?
No.
Councilman
No, ma'am.
Sanchez, any questions?
No.
Alrighty, then I'm opening it up for public comment, and I believe we have a speaker tonight. Pam Nico, are you there?
Pam, are you
Am I
there?
on?
Yes, you
Yeah,
are.
I'm there. Okay, well, City Council members and Mayor Sierra, thank you so much for supporting us through this time. We've literally been doing our best 7 days a week to try to keep the community just as comfortable as possible. I had to come and ask for emergency funds because if you drive by our center, you'll see that there's a trailer, and it's a refrigeration freezer trailer, because we've had the opportunity to get donations from some of the food distributors that we're going to lose that food because the restaurants didn't buy it, whatever, but we couldn't accept the donations because I didn't have any place to put it. So we decided to go ahead and do that so that we could get more food out. Our dining room's closed, so what we just made a decision that we send out about 197 produce bags every week. So we're delivering those. That's with the help of our volunteers, and some volunteers from the Crossroad Church stepped up and came over and helped us deliver them, as well as Valley Christian Fellowship. So we're able to get all 197 bags out to their front doors with produce, plus their Meals on Wheels. And then on Tuesdays and Saturdays, we're working with St. Mark's. What we did is St. Mark's is doing the soup distribution with the people that are walking in, but the Senior Center took on all of Buellton and all of our seniors seniors, we're doing those soups ourselves and getting those all distributed 2 times a week. So 2 times a week they get a quarter soup, bread, and produce. So in the last 3 weeks, we've put out 686 quarts of soup out to the seniors, so they can just heat it up and have it for however long that they want, so they don't have to go out. We're doing wellness calls for them every week, just literally calling every single one of our shut-ins and making sure that they're okay, seeing what they need, making sure their mental health is okay, giving out our cell phone number so if they get lonely, just to let them know that somebody's out there. We are just really trying to take care of our community, and we so appreciate you guys for always taking care of us. We're trying to do as much as we can. We have 3 of our employees. We had a total of 8 employees, and 3 of our employees are on Social Security and could get unemployment. So we made a staff decision to have them do that. So we're doing this extra with a short staff of 5 of us. So we're trying to cut back all we can and do what we can, fill out every grant that we can. But we would just really help. We would just really appreciate your support, and thank you. Any questions for me? Ask me. Come and see. We've been, our staff is staying healthy. We are going above and beyond to try to keep all of our staff healthy as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions for Pam, or I guess I will close public comment and bring it back to council. Gentlemen. Councilmember Sanchez?
Madam Mayor, this is Councilmember King.
Yes.
I would just like to thank Pam Nico for what she does for our community day after day, notably our seniors, and just say for me that it doesn't go unnoticed, and it's a very noble endeavor that she's doing.
I wholeheartedly agree. Councilmember Sanchez?
Oh, I'd echo that, and
Was that a motion, Dave?
oh, just like a man.
I want to make a motion to approve the 15. Go ahead, Ed. Go ahead.
Madam Mayor, I'd make a motion for the $15,000 transfer to assist them in their continuing their fine work.
Okay, and Councilmember Sanchez, were you seconding that?
I would second that.
Alrighty, Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. And again, thanks to our Buellton Senior Center for all they do for our community. Moving on, agenda item number 8, consideration of agreement for Chief Plant Officer, the CPO, and support staffing services for the City of Buellton's wastewater treatment plant, the WWTP, and sewer facilities with Fluid Resource Management, FRM. Ms. Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of City Council. As you're aware, the city currently doesn't have a grade 3 wastewater treatment operator, which is required by the regional board to be in compliance for managing our wastewater treatment plant. The city had in the past originally contracted in short term with Fluid Resources Management, and then changed the contract over to the San Ynez Community Services District for the operations. Since that time, the city has been receiving services from SYCSD, and their general manager at the time was also a licensed operator. So the district had 2 licensed operators to be able to add our facility to their contract. Since then, their general manager is no longer with them, which leaves the district with only 1 grade 3 operator. Their district board had already met to discuss the operational constraints on their staff and have requested to terminate their contract with the City of Buellton at this time. So with that, staff had reviewed the options as far as contract Chief Plant Operator Services. There is only one firm within the Central Coast area that provides the services, and that is Fluid Resources Management, that's FRM. The city already has a contract with them for ongoing maintenance services, and as I mentioned earlier, they previously provided us the Chief Plant Operator services when we initially needed it. So with that, the city has elected to obtain a scope of work and proposal from FRM to provide those services with us. Since we had used FRM over a year ago, the staffing has changed. We do have 2.5 positions. We have 2 grade 2 operators and 1 operator that has his OIT and is earning his hours as well. So the hours that we would need FRM staff is significantly reduced to what we needed in the interim. So based on the estimates we had, the cost to the city initially at worst case scenario would be approximately $6,400 a month. And that's to be there approximately 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, 4 weeks a month. Again, that's just the estimate. We'll need them there additionally, probably for this amount of time for the first month to get the operator back into the groove with the city's operations and the city's current staff. And we anticipate that that need would be reduced as time goes on. So with that, attached is the proposal for their services, their hourly rates. Their hourly cost is $100 per hour, as outlined in their proposal. They are certified by the Regional Water Quality Control Board for this type of service, and their staff that they're proposing is one of the operators that was with us originally, so they are generally familiar already with the scope that the city needs and is aware. Okay. So with that, I'm available to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to questions. Vice Mayor Mercado, do we have any questions?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Good.
Councilman Andrusik, any questions?
No, ma'am. I have a comment later on,
Okay.
but no question.
I'll get to you shortly on that. Councilmember King, any questions?
I just have one, and I asked Scott about this today, and I don't think either one of us were certain. This is for Greg. That contract goes into effect on the 6th. However, we're adopting this on the 9th. Is there any issue with that?
No, I'm okay with it. If you don't adopt it, then they would go away, but yeah, just fine.
Okay. And Councilman Sanchez, questions?
No questions, just
Okay. I had one question. We have new employees down there. Are they working towards the grade 3? Will eventually we have employees with the grade 3?
We do.
We will no longer need?
Yes.
Fluid resource
We actually,
management?
all our staff is actively pursuing their higher licenses. So at some point, we will be, self-sufficient
Thank you.
at some point in the future. Just
Right.
so that you're aware too, all the licensing tests and examinations for both water and wastewater have all been canceled this spring, and the soonest ones are going to be possibly this fall.
Okay.
Possibly.
Okay.
So it does push things out a little bit further, but this still also provides opportunity for our staff as they're working towards that higher licensing to work with these licensed operators and train in the needs and things that need to be looked for.
Doing hands-on with the grade
Yes.
3. Got it. Thank you. All righty, I open it up to the public. Looking around, I see nobody in the public. I'm closing it to the public. I'm bringing it back for comment. Councilman Andrusik, you said you had a comment?
Yes, ma'am. On page 7, section 22, the cooperation by city, it's I think 2 sentences. It says, all public information, data, reports, records, and maps as are existing and available to city as public records and which are necessary for carrying out the work as outlined in Exhibit A, scope of services, shall be furnished to FRM in every reasonable way to facilitate without undue delay the work to be performed under this agreement. And that jumps at me with the where the location is of all of our documents and drawings that we have for the operation in underworkings of our city. So my question was, what is the physical location of our docks? And the last time this that I asked any concern about it was the physical cabinet that the city had purchased has been at one of our contractors at M&S's facility. And I think this would be a perfect time to have our new city manager acquaint himself with where that is and that it should be located on city property, because those were very expensive things to be put together, and they are our Bible for operating the city connection services. So I would ask that we put that on a future agenda if that's, it doesn't seem like it should be too big of a deal to have it. M&S has graciously stored them, but I would hate to think that something happened out of everyone's control and the city would lose the availability of that cabinet which holds all of those infrastructure. And I believe at one time they were in the process of digitizing them, and so that not only rather than just saying it's a moot point, I would like to see the documents on city property. But I don't know if they're digitized, and I think I can rest assured that we still have access to them.
Thank you, Councilman. Rose had a response to that.
Yes, all those files are digital, so we have electronic sets on our server. But those files are always accessible to us at any time if we needed to go to a hard copy. But we do have them readily available on as far as digitally, right? And those are the preferred exchange for FRM as well, to have them digitally transferred or emailed to them, which the files haven't changed since they provided services to us a little over a year ago. So they have all the documents that they need as well.
Thank you. All righty. Councilmember King, Vice Mayor Andres, or Vice Mayor Mercado, any comments from you two?
No, I just think thank Rose for presenting us easy thing to read, and I think we should go forward with it.
Thank you. I've got another comment over here. Councilman Sanchez.
Yeah, I've dealt with FRM, and they're a first-class operation, and we're in good hands with their operators, and I would make a motion to approve if that's time for that.
Okay. Do I have a second
I will
out
second
there?
that. Mayor Mercado. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Well, I just wanted to parrot what Art said, and I think that this is very comprehensive, and it's obvious that Rose put a lot of work into it, and then I'll defer to Art's second.
All right. Vice Mayor Mercado, that was a second from you?
That's correct.
All righty. Thank you. Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
All right.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you very, very much. Let's get on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. Another brief report this evening. The City Council may have read or heard in the local media about an item brought before the Board of Supervisors this past week from the County Public Health Department regarding the current public health orders, in particular the public health orders requiring the social distancing, the closing of businesses, et cetera. The Public Health Department has brought to the Board of Supervisors a report indicating the results of their modeling and their projections for the progress of the spread of the COVID-19 disease and their efforts to minimize the impact on the healthcare system and try and keep the local hospitals from being overwhelmed. In an effort to do that, they have made an initial projection as to when we might be able to see a lifting of the social distancing requirements and the opening of businesses and such. And their initial projections at this point could take us as far as November before that gets released. Now, I'm bringing this to you this evening not simply to inform you of that date, but to let you know that that date is far from something that's etched in stone at this point. It is It is a piece of information that's subject to quite a bit of debate, even amongst the Board of Supervisors and county staff. I suspect we'll see this play out in the coming months, and we'll see what the state and the federal government have to say about these things. What we are recommending at this time, though, is that our residents do continue to abide by the public health orders. The Sheriff's Department is enforcing those orders. They're not taking a very aggressive stance at this point unless their requests for compliance are ignored, at which point they do have the ability to cite and or arrest if necessary. They haven't had to do that at this point. Needless to say, the potential for this these orders to be extended beyond what everyone assumed would be something around the end of May has been the cause of quite a bit of stress amongst everyone I've heard and spoken to about this, to include our staff. It is something that's a shock to all of us. Our staff has done an outstanding job at adjusting our work schedules, our work locations, our workload to accommodate everything that needs to be done in a social distancing type of environment. A large number of our staff members are working from home and or working alternate hours. We do have staff that come into the building after hours to complete a lot of the work. Our finance department, our engineering, our city engineer, our human resource director, city clerk will come in after hours frequently to make sure that things get done. Our planning department is largely working remotely. We do have someone in the building on most days, but not every day at this point. My point here is simply to point out that we've had to make some adjustments to the way that City Hall and city staff operate leading up to now. Those processes and changes may need to be changed again, given the extended period of time we're likely to be looking at. And I would really just like to take this opportunity to praise and to thank our entire staff for the work that they're doing, for the flexibility that they're showing. Our field staff continues to do the job that they've always done, just as they've always done it, despite the fact that there is some risk involved in the work that they do when they're out in public. They've been diligent about making sure that their personal protective equipment is in order and is being utilized properly. They're taking the safety precautions and the social distancing very seriously, and I would just like to commend all of them and thank them for the work that they're doing. It's not an easy job to do, and it's a difficult time to be doing it right now, and I really appreciate it, and I'd like to thank them publicly.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All righty. City Attorney, Mr. Murphy,
Ma'am,
you're up.
the City Council will now adjourn into closed session to discuss 3 items. 2 items of real property negotiation is set forth more fully on the agenda, and 1 item of potential initiation of litigation. Thank you very much.
All righty. We're going to take a 5-minute